excited that, oh, excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Got it. Okay, let's see. I've got to find Miss Amalie. Oh, there she is. She's so pretty. All right, I'm going to put you on the main stage and I'm going to join you.
Awesome.
Let's see. There we go. All right, perfect. Well, Amalie, thank you so much for coming tonight. This is so wonderful to have you back for the second time, but this time we get you all to ourselves for this 30 minutes. Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure on you right now?
It was a little bit of pressure, but you're so great. And I'm so glad to be back with Fresh Fiction. This is awesome. Thank you for having me, everybody.
Oh, we're so excited. Well, we're going to get right into it. If you don't mind, just for our new readers, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Amalie Howard, and I write historical romance, what I'm mostly known for today, but I got my start in young adult science fiction and fantasy actually back in 2011 when I wrote a book about witches and vampires and forbidden war and angsty teenage love. And then wrote a few more YA books, and then got into historical romance, which I love. I live in Colorado. I have 3 kids and one annoying, actually 2 cats. One is a pretty crazy tomcat who just tries to like attack the current. I have another cat she hates him. And then a Yorkie that is kind of
indifferent to both.
She's a Xanax dog. She just, she needs the therapy. She needs me to hug her. I'm like, you should be comforting me, puppy.
Do they ever get to make appearances in your stories?
The animals? Actually, one of the books that I have coming out, I think in probably 2023, features lots of kittens because the heroine's an animal lover. So she runs a shelter. So there's like, a 3-legged dog and like lots of tiny kittens who like to climb the hero, which I think is quite sexy, but that's just me.
I love it.
Think of Reacher covered in kittens. Who wants to see that Adonis belt covered in kittens? Come on.
I mean, yes, exactly. I'm like, and do you know about Jorts the kitten, Jorts the cat? Nope. It was a Reddit thread. You'll have to go, or not, Reddit and Twitter viral sensation. You'll have to go look it up about this cat who it's very funny. Go look it up later. But
I shall.
Yeah, another I imagine Jorts all over Reacher in these cats. It's just perfect.
So nice.
So had you always been a big reader?
Yeah. I was one of those girls that used to hide my grandma's romance books, mostly Harlequin and Milton Boone, behind my textbooks, and then lie that I was studying. But that's what I did.
I feel like that's multitasking.
For sure. Getting my work in sort of, while at the same time, like getting my romance on from very young, and I grew up like reading, like I love dark fairy tales. Like one of my favorite books is Grimm's Fairy Tales, not the one with Cinderella, like the Disney version, but the one where her sisters like chop their heels off to fit in the shoes. Yeah. Dark. I like it.
Which explains why you got in your first foray into writing was fantasies.
Oh yeah, totally.
I love that so much. What was the first romance that you remember loving?
So Judith McNaught is a huge favorite of mine. I think, I have all her books, and some of them are the spines are so cracked because I've read them dozens of times. But when I was younger, I read a lot of Sweet Valley High, V.C. Andrews, but we don't talk about that because there's themes in there that are questionable for
I just love it
very
so
young
much,
girls.
though.
Whatever.
It shapes who we are.
Pardon?
I said it shapes who we are. Those
Exactly,
V.C. Andrews.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And other books. I loved Anne of Green Gables, which is a very sweet romance. Other books that I liked. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series. That's not really a romance, it's more like an adventure book, but that was when I was younger. Definitely like Judith McNaught, Jude Devereaux, the 3 J's, and Julie Garwood were my top 3.
I love that so much. The 3 J's. It's perfect. All right, well, tell us a little bit about what inspired Rules for an Heiress.
So Rules for Heiresses is the second book after The Princess Stakes, and I really love the idea of kind of having some more representation in historical romance. And,
Absolutely.
in the first book, my heroine was of mixed race, and I'm of biracial descent. I was born in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago. And, who doesn't want to see themselves in beautiful 19th century ball gowns and kind of represented on the page. So I started doing some research, and with the first book, I researched, Sophia Duleep-Singh was a Sikh princess who was part of Victoria's court. Sarah Forbes Bonetta was a West African princess, who was also part of Queen Victoria's court. So, there were people of color there in those times in the courts, and I wanted it to have some authenticity. And then for this book, I flipped it where the hero is the person of color. So he's also biracial. And what I did was, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Belle. It's based on Dido Elizabeth Bell's life. And, she was the product of a mixed race relationship, and her father brought her to be raised. She was born in, I think, I wrote it down, 1761, and she died in 1804. And she was raised alongside her, cousin in her uncle's home. And there's a portrait of her. And it's funny because the portrait shows them, in beautiful clothes and jewels, and they're dressed, pretty much the same. Yeah. But the identity of Dido Elizabeth Bell was only found out in 1990. Can you believe that? That was like not that long ago. This painting was done in the, 1700s. Anyway, so I kind of did the gender flip where the hero was based on her. So his mother was a person from the West Indies who was married to his father, who was a Duke's Spare. Mm-hmm. And then when his mother died in childbirth, and the father died later on in a ship, his ship went down. He brought his son to be raised in England. So I kind of wanted to showcase what it would be like for a man now to be, biracial, to be struggling with themes of identity and also belonging, and then what unconditional love looks like by the woman who does accept him for everything that he is, which is Ravenna.
Yeah. That's amazing. Did to make it like the gender swap, did you have to do additional research into biracial male figures of the time period?
I did some, but mostly I didn't want it to be like, super heavy. Like I wanted it to focus on the romance with just themes of that I faced growing up, or that I faced going to school in Maine, coming from the Caribbean, where I was one of 4 people of color. So, I kind of put in how I felt. And I'm also in an interracial marriage. Mm-hmm. So I put a lot of that in there, but, I didn't base him on any specific person.
Yeah, great. So I just love how headstrong and independent Ravenna is, and she really does not want to bend to any man. How did you go about crafting Cortland for her and finding that right balance for their love story?
I loved her even from book 1, and Sarani was such a she was such a strong heroine as well. But Ravenna is just she has 3 older brothers. She wants to basically live her life, not live within the bonds that have been kind of or the life that she's been born and bred into, which is basically to marry a peer, and then ends up doing that anyway. But she wants to live. But back in those days, she was very limited by her station. She could not be a lady going out gallivanting on a ship by herself, but she does. She runs away and she dresses as a man to go find herself. And then she finds herself in a very illicit, scandalous embrace that, of course, is seen by people who now say, you need to get married because you're going to be ruined forever.
Right.
And, I wanted her to be strong enough. I think the biggest thing, because Cortland had so much doubt about himself and fitting in and being worthy, that I wanted her to be strong in her convictions, so that she could tell him, well, you belong here with me, and for him to believe it.
Yeah. He needed that anchor, that something that was permanent, because so many things in his life that he loved weren't permanent.
Yes, exactly. Or people telling him that he wasn't enough. And I think a lot of the lines in the book where she tells him that, blood is a fluid. We could say that now because we're readers reading with a modern lens. History wasn't always like that.
Right.
But we can say, yeah, it is a fluid. And I hope people take, when they're looking at reverencing something like that, they can translate it to now that it is just a fluid. We're all on the inside. We're all the same.
That's true. We are. It's absolutely true. Well, we love hearing about an author's research. What are some interesting tidbits you learned while researching the book?
Oh, research. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this book, so Cortland, he's shipping sort of, well, he's an ocean liner magnate. So of course I went and started researching all this stuff about Titanic, which was later on, it's the early 1900s. But there were steamships that were, across the Atlantic after 1850 that were, would take it and do it in 7 days.
That's
so
incredible.
like I was reading about steam propulsion and propellers and all this stuff because I had to make her smart. I was like, oh, by default, I need to learn all these things about how this works. So I did a lot of research into steamships, which was fun, and then ocean liners, and the extravagance, like how these ships were crafted to basically be mini floating palaces, right?
Yeah, incredible.
Because it was so expensive, and you had to have the dining room and the drawing room and the library, and places where meals were served, like huge courses, elaborate courses, like it would in a London home, which was really cool. I mean, it was, some of the pictures are fascinating, like the designs are like unbelievable.
I love that. Do you feel like you would want to go on that sort of trip if you could at that time period?
I mean, not the Titanic.
No, obviously not the Titanic.
Unless
probably
Leo
none
was
of
there.
None of the
and I would totally let him sit on my door, on my wardrobe door. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be amazing. It'd be incredible. I've actually never been on a cruise because my husband, he's not, he doesn't do well on ships. I grew up on boats because I grew up on an island, but yeah, we've never been on one.
I understand. I am very anti-cruise. Yeah.
You are?
I am. Yeah. I'm a little afraid of cruises. I feel like they're just palaces full of waste. I'm just very scared. All right. Well, so what are you working on next? You gave us a little bit of a hint about it earlier.
Well, it's funny because so when I had to do this book club tonight, I had to go back and read this book because I have written the third book in this series, which comes out later this year. And then also edited 2 other books. My next book that's coming out with Forever is Always Be My Duchess. And then the third book in the series, Wicked Beautiful Spy, which is about Bronwyn and Waterstone. And then a YA book that I have coming out, I had copy edits for, and I was like, oh my gosh, who is who?
It must be so hard to kind of keep all of that separate and on track and everything.
Sometimes it is. I mean, I just go look at the cover and then instead of reading it, I drool on it. But that's, I mean, look at this guy. He's like right behind your head. He is so, Sourcebooks did such an amazing job with this cover. I had sent them a picture of my inspiration, which was this East Indian doctor, Dr. Manu Bora. And it was literally an Instagram photo. And they found this guy and I was like, I am in love with you people. This is fantastic.
That is has to be such an incredible feeling too, when they get the image that you're trying to go for.
It was it could be his cousin. It was just so perfect. So perfect.
I love that. Well, I'm going to do some fun, just get to know you, fresh fact questions now that we're going to transition into. They're just kind of fun, silly, whatever. Okay. So my first question for you, Amalie, is how important are tropes to you in the writing process?
I love tropes. I love them. My favorite is enemies to lovers. You say enemies to lovers to me in a blurb and I'm I got it. I have to buy it. I have to read it instantly. My next favorite trope, which I heard Lady Sarah when I came on, she loves Secret Baby. Yes, Secret Baby, lovers unite. Oh my gosh. I have never seen a trope that will put people into
it is polarizing.
Desperate, polar opposites. No. But I love it. I love Secret Baby. And I mean, not the weird Secret Baby where she's hiding a baby or something, where they decide to, it comes out of a natural organic event. And then it's I love babies.
I love it so much. Okay. I'm going to hold off because I'm sure that Lady Sarah is going to have a follow-up question for you on that. Okay. So what is your favorite, you told us what your favorite trope to read is. What is your favorite trope to write?
So I also love to write enemies to lovers, and I love forced proximity because, that's put 2 people in a ship together or a room together and just watch sparks fly. I love that. I also like friends to lovers, having a relationship. Like Cortland and Ravenna were friends when they were little, and then of course reconnected. Second chance romance I also love. Yeah, I mean, most tropes. I don't think there's really any tropes that I dislike. I like them all.
I love that.
Trope if you want to.
Trope if you want to. Put that on a coffee mug.
Right?
Sell it on your website. Trope if you want to. It's great. Okay. Well, what genre do you never want to read again?
What genre do I never want to read again? Well, I'm like a total wimp, so I don't really like horror. I used to read a lot of Stephen King when I was younger. I read like It and had nightmares for like a long time.
Yeah, forever.
So probably horror would be, I like to go to sleep and dream of dukes and princes and, nice things.
Absolutely.
Adonis belts, like Reacher. I'm sorry. Although I heard you guys talking about what's that? The Gilded Age. And oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't want to spoil anybody, but like I was literally going, please bury these men who are trying to bury you. Please do it. New money.
I know. Carrie Coon is she's fantastic. She's the greatest thing right now. It's her. So I haven't seen this week's episode yet, but last week's with her little meltdown in the bedroom and like, just perfect. I
was surprised that I was going to like the lady from Sex and the City. What's her name?
Cynthia Nixon.
Cynthia Nixon. I was worried because I had watched, Just Like That. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but she's perfect.
She's so good.
So good as the older spinster sister. I love it.
She's so good. Or younger spinster. Yeah. I love it because I was watching And Just Like That and then Gilded Age. And then I also watched the And Just Like That documentary that they did to wrap up the whole season. And so to see Cynthia's like real personality, it was a real like trifecta of characters because Miranda's one, and then you've got the sister, and then actual Cynthia's just very laid back and chill.
Yep.
So good. What is your favorite?
Sorry, I like to go off on tangents, so that just went way over there.
No, that was perfect.
My bad.
I love it. And anytime I could talk about Gilded Age because I'm obsessed, and it's my favorite show right now. I love it so much. Okay, what is your favorite time of day to write?
Oh, definitely the morning. Because if I'm on deadline, I will get up at 5 before the kids have to be dropped off to school because it's quiet. I don't get interrupted about like, why is there no Captain Crunch in the house? And do I need to go get the Captain Crunch? I mean, and then they go to school. So they're in school by like 9 my time, and I can get a little more in, but then I get distracted by other things. So early morning, definitely for me. And I like my sleep too much. So I'm in bed by 10. I'm like, I like to sleep.
Yeah, same. I love sleeping. It's my favorite thing. Sleeping, eating, and napping. Those are my 3 favorite things in the world.
Best things. Best things.
What is your favorite time of day to read?
Nighttime. Oh, actually, anytime. Anytime. Like I'm always, I always have my iPad close or other books close. I tried to read before I go to sleep, but I have flannel sheets on because it's freezing right now. And now the minute I lie down, I'm like asleep. My husband laughs at me because he's like, you can fall asleep in 30 seconds. It's true. I used to sleep standing up. So when I was a kid.
Can you stay asleep?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if I'm stressed out, I'll wake up, but I don't sleep when he's traveling because I'm, then I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's that noise?
Right.
Where's the roof
hyper aware of everything.
See, this is why I can't read horror. Ties in perfectly to that.
Just a slightly active imagination. That's all.
Overactive. It's so bad.
All right. So who was your first book boyfriend or girlfriend?
Oh my gosh. That's a hard question. Book, boyfriend and girlfriend. Oh my God. Now I got to look at my shelf to see what I have up there. That's a hard question.
Yeah, you have to dig back into the recesses of your memory on that one.
Yeah. I would probably say, I know I brought up Anne of Green Gables before, but probably both of them. Both Anne and Gilbert would be my pair. I like both of them.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm an equal opportunity lover. So
I love it so much. All right, cool. What is your favorite writing fuel?
Probably toast. I'm really big on sourdough toast right now. Don't
Yum.
ask why. And fried chicken. I realize those two are completely different things, but yes, I'm really into fried chicken right now, which is probably not great in general for me to eat that all the time. But yeah, that's my go-to comfort food.
It's so delicious. I like both those things
Mhm.
together too. Make a little sandwich.
See,
Mhm.
we're on the same page.
I'm with you
Love
on this.
this.
I'm like, this sounds so good. A little sauce if you need it or dry, whatever.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what is one luxury item that you cannot live without?
A luxury item.
Mhm.
Wow. Where are you getting these questions? Luxury. Oh, I know. I have a weighted blanket that I got for Christmas, and it is fantastic. It's like a hug. I don't have to go beg anybody in my house to hug me when they're not smelling nice. I just get under my blanket on my bed by myself.
All cozy.
Yeah, that was nice. That and my iPad. I just need like a thing to hold it up, and then
Yeah,
that would be perfect, and I won't get cold.
Oh, I know that's my next find is like something to prop it up so I don't have to like
Right.
ever take my hand out of my blanket.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so this is kind of a silly question. It's another item question. It's 3 items this time. What 3 items would you have on you if you were sent back to the Victorian era?
Like modern items?
Yeah, I think you can answer it that way. Go for it. It's a new question for me, so I'm figuring it out.
That is a really cool question. 3 things that I would take. I would take my iPad. I love reading. And I mean, I guess I could go and wait. If I find a nice Duke with a huge library, wink, wink, we'll keep that as a metaphor also. And maybe so my iPad I would take because I'm never without it. I wouldn't take my phone though, because I would prefer not to have it. I would take some sturdy underpants.
Very good
because
point.
I need underwear. I don't like these things with like balloons with slits in the middle. Kidding. Give me a nice
Gotta
pair
hold
of
it.
underpants and a bra. Wait, bra? Let's put that in. Let's put underwear set in one. So I'm cheating, but still. Okay, that's 1. And then what else would I take? I would take, man, you guys should help me out in the chat. I'm like flailing.
I know, it's so good though. And especially like now I'm thinking about what bra and underwear set I would take with me.
Right?
It would definitely be a sports bra. I want to be comfortable.
Oh, Madison to the rescue. That's awesome. Aspirin. That is very smart. See, I'm like thinking of like, oh, what things am I gonna not be able to? That's a good one. Yeah, maybe some what do you call it? Antibiotics.
I love it.
Then I could sell it on the black market. Okay,
exactly.
I would not do that.
Then you'll have to like convince people that it works. Like it's a whole
right, and they'll be like, "What is this
process.
thing? Please take some laudanum. Come on, lady."
They'll be like, "Which?"
Right.
Oh man. Okay. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, that's a great question. I would tell my younger self not to give up so quickly, or not to, it's a lesson I'm still learning, not to take on what people I don't know are saying. I think I'm a pretty soft person. I'm a marshmallow sometimes. I try to have a thicker skin, but my therapist says I'm a highly sensitive person, which is true. So I think I'd tell my younger self, don't give up, fight for what you believe in and what you want to do. And the reason I say that is when I was 18 and started college, and I was so excited about writing because I had, it was my passion. And I took a class and it was called Jam Plan at Colby. And, it was like a month-long class, and the teacher that normally taught it was on a leave. So it was a sub. And she told me my writing was very flowery. And at the time I was like, oh my God, I'm the worst. I suck so bad. I'm never taking this. And I was there on a full ride. So I wanted to maintain my grade point average. So I did what she wanted, change my voice, and then never took another class at a school that had a phenomenal English department. It's one of my biggest regrets. I wish I had taken more classes. Oh, cool. I didn't realize Pablo said, yeah, I graduated a very long time ago, 1997. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of one thing and the the English professor there was phenomenal. I would have loved to sort of, taken that lady's advice, the teacher's advice, and then continued. But I was so doubtful of my own ability. And I think, so I'd tell my younger self, have faith in what you can do and what you love to do and your passion, and follow your dream.
Yeah, I love that. That's like, I think that we should all take that advice, even no matter where we are in our dream pursuing, take that to heart. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
I'm a plantser.
A plantser.
Yeah, it's like a mashup. I started out as a pantser just because, sometimes my stories would take me in directions like, that I don't know where these characters are going, but they're going there. Okay. And then as I got book contracts, you have to give synopses to your publishers. So then I became more of a plotter, because you have to write everything out in a 2 to 5 page synopsis, which you usually then follow in your writing. So I think I've gone from pantser to plotter.
Love it. All right. So, okay, this is kind of a convoluted question, so we'll figure out how to answer it together. Okay. What is one thing that can instantly pull you out of any historical story? A movie, a book, just anything that, like a historical inaccuracy that just makes you
it's funny that you say that, because I was thinking about it today. What would take me out of a historical story that I'm loving? If the author is taking me on a journey, like little things won't matter to me. I get it. This is like historical romance. If it's historical fiction, that's different, because you're writing about a person that actually existed. If it's historical romance, and I am like so wrapped up in the story of the hero and the heroine, it won't pull me out of the story. If there's a word like plastic that's in there, I'm going to be like, what is happening right now? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it's obvious, but if it's really small, like say something existed in 1817 and the book was, the time period of the book is 1815, I'm not going to care. Even words, right? Some words might have been, their origins might have been later on, but we don't know that they weren't said in speech back then. I mean, I wouldn't use a slang word today for the 1800s. But something that was there in 1850, it's not going to bother me if somebody's writing Regency.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So before I hand this over to our readers to ask you some follow-up questions, we love to ask our author the name game questions that we had our readers answer a little bit earlier. So for you, it's just, what have you been reading, watching, and listening to recently that you love? And what sort of fortune would you inherit if you found out that you were a recent heiress to a fortune?
All right, so let's start with what I'm reading. Reading. I just finished K.F. Breen's Kingdom of Ruin today. It came out today and I finished it today. It's so good. It's dragons and demons and it's so dark and there's so much mexy times. And my husband came upstairs and he's like, aren't you supposed to be reading your own book to prepare for this book club? And I was like, no, I'm reading about these dragons. Okay, please get out of
Priorities.
Here. Yes. Oh my gosh. So that was really good. And then listening to, I'm really obsessed with this song called Fingers Crossed. It's new. I was trying to get the name because I was listening. Oh, Lauren Spencer Smith. It's a very sad song. Did you say you love me and you had your fingers crossed? And I was like, oh, that's so sad, but it's so catchy. Okay, what's the next one?
So listening to watching. Did you answer watching?
Oh, I'm watching The Gilded Age. I'm watching Reacher, and I'm watching Raised by Wolves, which is on HBO Max, and it's really weird and awesome. Like it's like a train wreck. I can't stop.
I love a good train wreck. HBO always has a good train wreck.
Who gives birth to a flying serpent? An android? Like what is happening? Anyway, yeah,
it's perfect.
I'm watching that, and then my fortune. I have some very wicked friends who were texting me about the answers they gave, and they were very naughty. I don't think I can say it, so I won't. It'll be a fortune in cookies, okay? I don't know. A cookie making fortune?
Some sensual cookies, maybe?
They were talking about scandalous toys, so, gosh, I love my friends.
I love that, though. There needs to be it's a pleasure fortune. That's all.
See, that sounds so nice. It's so gentle. Yes. Okay. Uninherited a pleasure fortune.
Now I'm like, make it into a book.
I know, right?
Well, Amalie, this was lovely. For readers, how can they stay in touch with you and see you online?
So I'm just at amaliehoward.com, and I'm on all the usual social media platforms. Instagram, Amalie Howard, I think just Amalie Howard, and then Amalie Howard author on Facebook, Amalie Howard on Twitter. And I'm on TikTok too. I'm a TikToker. I'm really bad at it, but I'm trying to get better.
So the way to do it is
using all
practice.
those filters and stuff. It's super fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amalie. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Gwen. Thanks, guys.